So let's continue with the organizing function. And here we are going to focus more on delegation. We'll also talk about coordination. We shall briefly talk about centralization and decentralization concepts. And we shall also look at informal organization. Okay, Roslyn is saying is not on the group. Is not on the group. What you can do, Roslyn? Let me share the number of what comes into your mind. What comes into your mind when we talk about delegation? Yes, Samuel.
Sorry, Malim, you're saying?
What comes into our mind when we talk about delegation? Delegation.
Delegation is basically, I'll say, a concept of, giving out some roles to maybe your juniors or people of the same level.
Okay, Roslyn, you want to say something?
It is the transfer of responsibilities for specific tasks from one person to another.
Okay. And Lillian is saying it's the allocation of tasks. All those are correct. So it is always important in organizations to delegate responsibility or to allocate responsibilities to various people, depending on the level in which they are in the organization. So delegation is the process of entrusting authority and responsibility to others throughout the various levels of organization. So you are entrusting authority. You are giving that person authority to do everything based on the various activities that you feel the person can be able to do. And you also give them responsibility so that at the end of the day, if they make a mistake, they'll be able to acknowledge that indeed I've made this mistake and be accountable for the same. So if you give somebody authority, then it means the person is in control of everything that is happening. So a special manager subordinate relationship due to delegation in the formal structure is created which is founded on the following concepts. So authority or delegation can be founded in the following concept. Number one is that authority is being able to make a decision to take action on behalf of the manager. So sometimes when the manager is on leave, he normally delegates authority to you so that you have control, you have the power to do everything that you are required to do, depending on the structure or depending on the various activities. So authority legitimizes the exercise of power within the structure and the rules of the organization. Every organization has rules and regulations that govern them on a day-to-day basis. It can either be specific or general. So once you have those rules, the rules can either be specifically to that department or they can be general to all organizations. They can be general to all organizations. Then it enables the subordinates to issue valid instructions for others to follow. So you'll be able to give valid instructions. Because once you are given the authority, it means you have been given the power. And subordinates must be able to follow that power. But don't overuse your power as a person who has been given responsibility or delegated responsibility. Therefore, people or subordinates must be able to follow your instructions. And failure to do that, they will also be answerable to you. The other important concept of delegation is responsibility, is obligation by the subordinates to make certain decisions or being able to perform particular duties and also accepting reprimand from the manager due to unsatisfactory performance. So in the event as a subordinate, you've been given responsibility, you must ensure that you perform better, so that in the moment you don't perform, then you'll be answerable to the manager. Then accountability is interpreted as meaning ultimate responsibility and cannot be delegated. So sometimes as a manager, even if you have delegated some responsibilities, the ball always will lie on your court, so that you can also be answerable if something goes bad. So accountability, sometimes you might be forced as a manager to accept the responsibility if something does not happen according to plan. So it is always important, as much as you want to delegate authority, you need to ensure that they exactly know what they are supposed to do. They know their scope on what is expected of them, so that they don't end up making mistakes, which will lead to you being answerable at the end of the day. So what are the benefits of delegation? What are the benefits of delegation? Number one is that delegation gives the manager enough time to deal with more important tasks that could not be delegated. So sometimes you might find that a manager has a lot of span of power or span of control, and he or she might be overwhelmed in performing some of those responsibilities. So the only best thing that a manager can do is to delegate some activities to people, so that he will focus more on doing what is necessary or what is critical within the organization. So they are able to do more of managing the organization and minimum doings. So you'll be able to focus on doing the most critical activities. Then delegation is a means of training and development of subordinates, and are given more authority and responsibility, temporarily being a good test of suitability of subordinates promotion. So it helps to develop or to train employees or future leaders. So as a manager or as a leader, you can delegate responsibility, so that the main focus is to train your future leaders or to develop your subordinates, so that they know what it takes to be a leader. Then delegation can encourage the development of specialist expertise and enable specific aspects of management to be brought within the province of a number of special staffs for greater efficiency. So you can also develop specialists. And remember, as a manager, you must be analytical. You can look at a person analytically and you say that this person has a particular talent. So instead of deeming that talent, you can also decide to develop that talent, so that it becomes something good at the end of the day. So you must look at your employees and try to understand what are their strengths. So once you understand the strengths, you can easily tap on that strength, and this will lead to development of specialist expertise within the organization. Then delegation is essentially due to geographical separation of units, departments, or various branches. And this is very common when you are dealing with the organizations that have different branches, and they also have a head office. So if you are the head of procurement, for example, you have different branches all over the country. You need to delegate some responsibilities to those branches, so that you don't centralize all activities to the head office. And that is common, for example, a long time ago, I think 5 years ago, if you wanted an ATM machine, not really an ATM card, you could wait for more than 3 to 4 weeks. The reason being that they did not have the machine in that branch and they could not process the ATM for you instantly. So if that is the case, then as a manager who you are in the head office, you can decide, let us now decide to devolve this function of maybe processing ATM cards for your employees so that you can delegate those responsibilities to your various branches so that you have everything in one shop. A good example also is in retail outlets. Look at a good case of Naivas Supermarket and Quickmart. They have been able to delegate different responsibilities to their various branches. And the main focus is basically to develop and to separate the units so that every unit is autonomous. If you want every service, you will find it in those branches. So delegation is a good thing because it helps you to geographically separate the various units into branches or departments. Then the other thing is that it is through delegation that making decisions at lower organizational level compatible with efficiency. So people will be able to make decisions. Even if you're in the lower level, you can make some decisions that are not that complex. And it also helps managers to be able to play their respective roles in improving organizational efficiency. There are some things or some conflicts that the manager should not even know because they are very insignificant. So you cannot be taking everything to the manager, reporting everything. But there are some things you can just be able to delegate and make decisions at the end of the day. So delegation allows you to have that capacity of making decisions at the lower level of organization. Then through delegation, workforce strength is improved. Subordinates are given opportunities to develop abilities and aptitudes and increase organizational commitment. So you'll be able to increase your workforce. Imagine you've been given a responsibility. It will also increase your morale because you will say, the manager really believes in me. You'll work to ensure that you prove a point based on the delegation that you've been given. So in one way, delegation will increase or strengthen your workforce, and it will also lead to increase in abilities and commitment of employees. Delegation is a means of increasing employees' motivation and job satisfaction. So the moment you have been given responsibility, therefore it means you will be able, just a minute. Hello?